So first off, we want to just say we're really excited that both of you guys are here to be able to do this legacy interview. I know future generations are going to be really excited to be able to kind of get to know y'all's stories because at one point, there's not going to be, you guys won't be here. That's what a legacy interview is. Right. So what we're doing is we're just going to go over some really cool questions about y'all's family, your traditions, your values, some hard challenges that you might have faced, and where you are today, basically.
Okay.
So, all right, we're going to dive into the first question. And this is the first section. So your first section is childhood and family, okay? So your first question is, how would you describe your childhood? And what are the conditions like growing up compared to today? We can go ahead and start with Virginia. I'll have you kind of talk about that first.
Okay. Well, my childhood started, I was born in Wichita Falls, Texas. And my mom and dad moved around quite a bit. My dad worked in construction. He was a plumber, steam fitter. And we moved to Amarillo when I was about, I want to say in the 4th grade, something like that. Mm-hmm. And we lived downtown in Amarillo on Tyler Street for a while in a boarding house. It was right at the end of the war, and it was real hard to find a place to live. We lived there, and we moved around quite a bit because of his job. But eventually, we, of course, settled down again in Amarillo, and that's always been my home. And I went to elementary school here. I went to junior high here, and I went to Amarillo High School and graduated in 1956. And I met Jim in 1957, and so we married. Was it 1957?
No, it was 1953, 4.
No, I didn't graduate till 56.
I know that, but we dated for 3 years.
Well, anyway, but we married in 1957.
Okay.
June the 15th in 1957. And basically, this has been our home. Jim grew up here, and we have lived here ever since. I lived here. My mom was a seamstress.
Okay.
She worked for Sears and Roebuck for many years.
Retirement, didn't she?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She did.
Okay.
Best
And Jim, can you kind of describe your childhood a little bit?
My childhood was, of course, you have to start, when do you remember? We moved to California from Amarillo when Dad was in the Navy. And we were out there 2 years, I guess, and came back to Amarillo. Okay. And I had to start back in the 2nd grade. I had to start in the 1st grade.
Right.
Because I had failed kindergarten in California. I was sick off and on all excuse me, off and on all year. I was sick. So to move back to here, I went to San Jacinto grade school. Tried to play a little football in junior high, but I was too small, too lightweight. Started working when I was about 14 years old, and I made enough to buy a motorcycle, buy a car, everything goes up, and then I bought another car. So I had transportation ever since I was 14. Had commercial driver's license all that time. So I was driving 2.5 ton boom truck, floorboard shift. People don't remember floorboard shift. It was tough. But that's about it. I went to school, and when I got out of junior high, we were driving around one night and knew some girls were having a party and went over and broke the party up, and that's when I met Virginia. So did y'all go get a Coke with us that night?
No.
I don't remember.
No.
Anyway, to make a long story short, I started to drive off, and there was another car in front of me, so I had to back up. When I backed up, it wouldn't come out of reverse. So it was an old car. So I had to leave the car there and come get it the next day. Guy knew how to work on the transmission to get it to going. So more fun than the Maryland monkeys at those years.
You
Virginia used to go down to
I
the
don't-
shop with me, and
mention the Emerald Sign Company that you worked for. That was your dad's.
well, yeah, that Dad
sorry.
started when he came back from the Navy. Dad started Emerald Sign. Well, he worked for another sign company till he learned how to blow glass, blow the neon tubing, and a couple of years later, he quit there and started his own company. That was in 1946 or 1947 early. And I guess I started working in there when I was 13. Sweeping floors. When I was 14, I was driving to like Dumas, Clarendon, wherever we had work to do, working on the repairing signs. So we got married in '57. 3 weeks after I got out of school, we got back from our honeymoon, which we were gone a week, and 2 weeks later I went to National Guard camp. I was in National Guard 8 years, and got out of there. We ended up moving to Fort Worth. I tried to go to TCU at night school, and I was very disappointed. They didn't teach what I wanted to learn in my phase in the sign business. So we moved back to Amarillo. Dad called and said, me and my partner split. Do you want to come back? I said, well, sure. We're on our way. So we moved back to Amarillo. I was born at what was it, 719 North Mirror. My house is still there that I was born in, and it's leaning, but it's still there. And all the boys, the grandsons, we used to go to a car show when they were pretty young, and I'd take them by there and show them that old house. They all of them said, "Oh no, you didn't go to, you didn't live in that." And I said, "No, I was born there. I didn't live there." But anyway, about I don't know, 1960, what was it, 7, 8? We moved back to Amarillo, and I went back in business with Dad, and I became a full partner in 1972. And so from that point on, that's all I ever did.
Okay.
But I had many businesses.
All right, so what were some of your daily household chores that you had to do growing up that you can tell them from, sweeping the floors all the way up? So whatever household chores you guys did as childhood. Virginia, I'll have you start.
Well, my brother and I have a brother, Howard Bacon, that is 18 months younger than I am. So we were pretty close, and whatever Mother assigned us to do, we did together most of the time. I always helped with the dishes from the time I was old enough to stand at the sink. At that time, I probably dried the dishes. Mother washed them, and I dried them. We had hardwood floors that Mother would have us polish after she would put the cleaner on the floors, and that was always a fun job because we'd slide across the floor. We, as a family, we, worked together most of the time, and we lived in a lot of different houses. Mother was so good about making it our home that we just worked together. And later on, as a family, we worked together, and that's always been a pleasure for me to have help and fond memories of cooking and cleaning house and basically the house was the most important thing because most of the time we didn't have a yard to take care of. That didn't belong to us, so we didn't have a yard to take care of. But it was just
A lot of people didn't have yards in those days.
And Jim,
It's
what
just
about
dirt.
you? Was there household daily chores that you had to do growing up?
Whenever I could, I started mowing the grass. That was one of my jobs. We had moved over at 411 Fairmont, and it was a very primitive house to start. Eventually, a few years later, we built a basement and another addition. That was my room on the back of the house. I had two younger sisters at that time, and what else did I do? We didn't even have a driveway with that house, and so on weekends, Dad and I would hand mix the cement, and we would pour a little section of the driveway until we got all the way out to the street, and left the dirt floor in the garage. But that's where we parked. So it was an interesting growing up. Yeah.
Tell me about some of the most memorable lessons that your mom and dad taught you, Virginia.
well, I think primarily family. When you think about it, family. That family's the most important to all of us. And no matter where we lived, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned growing up with my family was to adapt to where we were living at the time. And when we would move, it was partly my job because I felt more comfortable about meeting new friends and everything for us to be a part of the community. Now, tell me my question again.
Oh no! What are some of the most memorable lessons that your mom and dad taught you?
I think, like I say, learning to adapt to where you live and to make friends, to help each other. Mother was very good and very conscious in wherever we lived. We went to the closest church that was close to us, and then the denomination didn't make a difference. It was just that she felt very dedicated that we go to Sunday school and go to church, and that's how we met a lot of the friends that we had. But honesty and what else can I say?
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, Jim, what about you? What was some of the most memorable lessons that your mom and dad taught you?
Probably do your part of the work, hard work. Mm-hmm. If you see something that needs to be done, you did it. We were taught never to take your socks off and leave them laying on the floor. They went in the dirty clothes hamper, And early years, Mom would do the laundry. We'd help. We had to go out and hang the clothes on the line so they would dry, and then go out and get them when they were dry. It's a different thing, but it was always work, hard work. But it was rewarding. The family all worked together. Really, it was kind of odd having to wait for your turn in the bathroom to take a bath, because two sisters and mother and dad in one bathroom. So we had to work around it, but it was okay. We made it.
All right. Tell me what you remember most about your parents and siblings, Virginia.
My parents were really both born during the Depression, or not born, but were raised primarily during the Depression years. So that really kind of hung on with them. They were very, very frugal. My dad always had a job. He worked real hard. My mom stayed home until later in my life. She didn't work. She stayed home with us and took care of us, took care of the house. And I had my brother is 18 months younger than me, and then I have a little sister that's 10 years younger than me during that time, and that was quite a surprise for us. And she was my baby doll, you know. And my brother and I had a lot of fun with her, and we helped with her a lot. And she's very important in my life today. And as far as family and my mother and dad, they were just middle class, hardworking people. They had friends they played cards with. I think they taught me how important it was to have friends, you know, and to be a part of the community.
Can you say their names, please, and who they are?
My mom's maiden name was Zena Stockton. Zena Zudora Stockton.
ZZ.
My dad's name was Herman Howard Bacon. And he came from Oklahoma originally. My mom was born in Wichita Falls, Texas. And she always told the story about being raised during the Depression, about high school, that a lot of the girls had dropped out of school because they didn't have anything to wear, and they were embarrassed about it. And Mother said her mom was a seamstress, so she made her a skirt and 2 blouses, and she finished high school at Wichita Falls, which she was very proud of, you know.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then your sisters and your sister and your brother's name?
Well, my sister's name is Robbie Gamblin, and Robbie Lynn. She was, I had a little, I need to tell you that I had a little sister named Donna Elaine, and she passed away when she was a year old. And it was during the war, and a lot of the doctors were serving in the war, you know, in World War II. And she got sick real fast. And really, there wasn't anybody to take care of her at the time. You know, when she got to the hospital, it was really too late. And that was real hard on my mom and dad all through their life, you know, to have lost a child at a year old. And so then later on when they had us, and then later on when they had Robbie, it was a real blessing for them, you know. But my brother's name, did I tell you, Howard Bacon? Herman Howard Bacon. He doesn't go by Herman, he goes by Red, because he had red hair and freckles.
Love that. Okay. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. Tell me what you remember most about your parents and siblings, as well as their names and who they are to you.
Well, my mother's name was Alma Mae Lawrence, M-A-E. And she was born in Old Bar, New Mexico, which was just a little bitty few houses on the railroad track because her daddy worked for the railroad. And her mother and dad were ran over by a car coming home from a party one night. And so she didn't have a mother and dad. She moved in with the aunt for a while, and that's where she was raised. And she had a younger sister by the name of Ruth. I don't remember. We called her Aunt Boopy, you know.
Yeah,
she had
great.
older brother named Frank, a younger brother named Junior. Both of them served in the First World War, or in the World War II. She moved to Amarillo because this is where the hub was. Everybody was getting a job here in Amarillo after, you know, before the war and after the war. And I remember most times people didn't have a refrigerator. They had ice box. And they would put the sign in the window telling the iceman what size blocks. You dial it on the cardboard and you tell them what size block of ice you needed for that day or that week or whatever it was. I don't even remember. It was for a week, was it? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember.
But anyway, it was fun. The pretty old timey, really. Uh, Dad is James Franklin Pittman, and I'm a junior. And my granddad's name was John Marcus. And then his father was James Franklin. So if my granddad had been named James Franklin, I would have been the fourth. So that's down the line anyway.
And your mother and your brothers or your sisters, all your sisters.
Dad's oldest brother, Dad was the youngest in the family, and his oldest brother was named Mead, which was an unusual name, I thought, M-E-A-D. And then he had, 5 sisters, and Irene, hard to remember, Ethel, Vivian, and what else? I guess that's all when there's 6 kids. My sisters,
Yeah.
my oldest sister is just 18 months younger than me, but her name is Ruby Norita. She got the Norita because my grandmother's name was Nora Logwood. And she was born in Leedy, Oklahoma. And her daddy was a preacher. And she had, I don't know, 4 or 5 sisters and brothers, and it was a bunch anyway. And then my middle sister was Pamela. What was her name?
Pamela Ruth.
Pamela Ruth, named after Ruth, her sister that died. Mom's younger sister died with cancer at an early age, fairly early age. And then my youngest sister is Penny Kay, and where we got the C-A-Y-K, I don't know where that came from. I don't know where Penny came from, to tell you the truth. But anyway, Penny was born in 1955. I had gone to the first ever national NHRA national drag races in Great Bend, Kansas. Me and some guys loaded in their cars and went up there and watched the races. And when I came home to get out of the car, and Mom and Dad were coming down the steps of the house, going to the hospital to have my sister. So, interesting. You know, she said, I waited.
She did. Okay, so now I would like to ask you guys a question about, it's still in your child and family. It says, did anyone pass away during your childhood or teenage years that significantly impacted you? I know that Virginia, you had talked about your sister who had passed. Is everyone else still here with you, or have they passed at this point? And
Well, of course, my mother and dad had passed away.
Yes.
And during my childhood, I really never did know my grandmother on my mother's side. She had passed away, and my grandfather had passed away before my mother even married. And like I say, I lost a little sister when I was 5 when Donna was born. And other than grandparents, you know, there wasn't anyone. Of course, later in my life, aunts and uncles as the years went along. But in my childhood times, there really wasn't.
Okay. What about you, Jim?
I don't remember anybody in our family dying. My Uncle Mead's first wife died, then again from cancer, but I don't remember anybody else
Okay.
dying. My grandmother and granddad were, of course, I knew them real well, and in fact, we lived with them after the war for just a short period of time, a few months. And my grandmother came to our wedding, but my granddad wasn't up to it. He didn't feel right, and actually, he died the month after we got back off of our honeymoon.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Okay. Can I ask, how did your family make a living? Let's start with you, Virginia.
Well, like I said before, my dad was a plumber steamfitter. He belonged to the union, Plumber Steamfitters Union. He was in that union over 50 years. And I remember celebrating his 50th year in the union. And that was very important at that time for people that had a trade, that either they belonged to a union or they didn't. And my dad was very proud of the fact that he did. And that was an organization that helped them in their work, basically helped train people and that sort of thing. My mom was a seamstress, and she didn't go to work until we were grown. Now, she worked some while Robbie, my sister, was growing up, but she worked for Sears and Roebuck as a seamstress, basically making drapes. A lot of times she helped with upholstery and furniture and that sort of thing, but she made all of my clothes and that sort of thing. So she stayed in the field of being a seamstress most of her life.
Perfect. What about you, Jim? What did your family do?
My mother never did work. What little things she did, she used to sell tickets out at a tri-state fair every year for a while, and but that's it. And like I say, Dad started his own business after he got back from the war, and he was 86 when he died, and he hadn't been home but about maybe 3 years, something like that. So he was still up at the shop, keeping the books, till he was 82.
Okay, so what is something about your heritage or family values that you want future generations to know?
Well, I think closeness of family. As our family grows and each member of the family is either some of our grandchildren are out of town, and our children are fairly close to us. It's how important it is that we stay in touch, and how important it is for holidays. I think that we've enjoyed the joy of having great grandchildren in this day and time. It's a lot of people don't have that in their lives, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But I think family is it leads to everything else. The importance of family.
So, are there any family traditions or cultural practices that you want to know the future generations to know?
Well, I guess as far as traditions, that each holiday, I think that we tried to get together. Sometimes, we've had members out of town, but we stayed in contact. I think that card games and decorating for Christmas, summer vacations. We took a summer vacation nearly every year from the time I was in junior high to a lake in Arkansas, that we all got to stay in a cabin with each other and fish and swim and water ski and do all that. And that led on in my adult life as well. So I think just the tradition of holidays and vacation.
And Jim, what are some of the cultural family traditions that you would like future generations to move forward with?
Well, we always celebrated Christmas together. It was a big deal. And I guess, when did we start the tradition anyway? Everybody went to Mother and Dad's house for Christmas. And it got to be a massive bunch of people. And it wasn't comfortable sometimes. And we had crying babies and whatever, But it was fun to get together and see people that we hadn't been around much, during the holidays. So holidays are fun.
So, Virginia, was there a passion, career, or dream that you wish you could have pursued? Or did you pursue if you if you did that?
Well, I think that at an early age, even, I think I always wanted to be in the field of medicine as far as a nurse or in a doctor's office. I always remember when we went to the doctor or went to the hospital to see someone, how I thought that was so interesting, that everybody that was working there. I didn't work as a nurse to begin with. I worked at Amarillo Credit Association as a bookkeeper, an assistant to the bookkeeper, and I worked there for about 6 years, and noticed one day on television that Amarillo College was offering a course for at that time it was an LVN, and I think it still is, a licensed vocational nurse, and it was about an 18-month course, and so I decided to quit my job and do that. That was before I had children, and so from that point on, my job was as a nurse in hospitals and a few doctors' office. So I really don't think I ever thought I'd do anything else but that, and I enjoyed doing that.
Good. Same for you. Was there a passion or career or dream that you wish you could have pursued or that you did pursue?
I don't know. I always thought my career was going to be at the Emerald Neon, or Emerald Sign Company. That's all I ever knew, really. And when about a year or 2 years after we got married, the shop really wasn't enough of a challenge for me. So I tried to join the Highway Patrol. I was too little. And what else was it? I tried to join Army Jump School, and I was too small. So didn't get to do that. So that's when I stayed in the National Guard. And all my friends and guys that I grew up with, and my ex-brother-in-law, we were all National Guard together in the same company. That was fun to be together. What else would you say?
What was some of the other pursuits that you had? Because I know that
I
at one
had-
point you opened up a pool hall, correct?
I had a really nice, you call it pool hall, it was a billiard room, really. It was very nice. Had 16 pool tables and 3 billiard tables, and beautiful carpet, and the billiard tables were blue in color instead of green, which I had to get used to, but it was fun. But if they hadn't have closed the air base when they did, that cost me all the money that I had made on it. So we were broke there for a long time. And naturally, that's when we had Tony, and at that time I had to start making payments on her. Well, they did on Jamie too, so it didn't matter.
Virginia, will you talk a little bit about retirement, as well as things that you're doing now?
Yeah.
Okay.
After years of, I stayed home with the girls most of the years that they were growing up, and then I
Volunteered a day, a couple hours a day at the church.
right, and volunteering some at different places. But eventually I went to work at Region 16 Education Service Center as a school nurse, basically, and I worked in the Head Start program for many years and the migrant program. And so I ended up working there 21 years, and I believe I was 60 years old exactly when I retired and decided to do that, and was very thankful that I could. I enjoyed retirement, my earlier years of playing some golf, and just we traveled a little and doing things like that. So it was very enjoyable.
And then Jim, what about retirement? What led you to retirement? Like what were you doing before you retired, and then how you retired and what you're doing now?
I inherited the business, the Emerald Sign Company, and it took me about 4 years to sell the business. And after sold it, because that's been 16, 17 years now. So I've just enjoyed being not having to go to work, my own schedule. So right now I'm in the business of trying to get rid of a coin collection. The whole family knows about the coin collection, so everybody's going to get some more this summer, this Christmas.
Okay. So moving forward, if you could change one thing about your life, what would it be?
Oh God.
I hadn't really thought about that. I really think that looking back now, I don't think it would have changed too many as far as values. I really wish that I had gone to college. I think a lot of people my age didn't think it was as important as we think now. You know, I really would have liked to have pursued a little bit of higher education, and I do believe that it's very important, and thankful that my children and grandchildren have, and I think that's probably the only thing I can think I'd change. Everything else is, I'm thankful that it's gone exactly the way it has.
And what about you, Jim?
Well, of course, I grew up with the idea that college was too expensive and my family couldn't afford it. I had an uncle that said he would help me and all that, so it's probably not true. I mean, we could have afforded to go for me to go, but I wasn't really interested in college. I knew what I wanted to do, and I did it. I don't know. What else do you say? You know, I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that.
Yeah, I like that.
You know.
What is the key to having a good life, Virginia?
Wow.
Gosh. Again.
I think moderation is a good word, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to the extreme. Of course, I think, like I said before, it seems like the most important times in my life have been involved in family, whether it was my family or my mother and dad when I was growing up, or other people's families, you know, friends' families. But
She was an important part of my family.
we were an important part of each other's families.
Yes,
as we
very much so.
when we married.
And you guys feel like the key to having a good life, though, is moderation.
Yeah,
Same for you, or is
that's
there...
the same thing.
And I don't know if that's the
don't,
word or not, moderation.
Well,
I think
yeah.
just some people. I guess it falls into goals. You know, we always have goals. We've talked about them at different times, and we've met some goals, and we haven't met goals. But I think that we've always laughed about. I guess that we get up every day and go to work, and we share and meet expectations. You know.
That was one of the neatest things we did for Virginia, to go back to school and get her nursing license. And as it worked out, that was the best thing that could happen to us, because she paid for raising the kids, whatever they needed. to them to go to college their first year. We helped them all we could, you know. But she did most of that. So my salary just went to the family to live on, you know.
Okay. Our next question is, do you have a favorite piece of advice in developing a rich inner world as we mature? It's a very complicated question.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
Do you have a favorite piece of advice for developing a rich inner world as we mature? Favorite piece of advice for developing a rich inner world as we mature?
To enrich the world?
Yeah, basically. As we mature, is there a good piece of advice that you feel like would help?
I think being a responsible citizen, you know, that's kind of a key word to anything, but being involved and knowing the people around you and knowing what's going on, and that, you know, the same way as politically, you know, knowing what's important for you and your community. I think being on the know of everything, and also when you have children and grandchildren, it enriches your life because they bring that home. They bring that to you. And I think if we just lived a solitary life and didn't reach out to other people, then we wouldn't be very rich ourselves as far as knowledge and knowing what's going on. And I think really the key is knowing what's going on in the world.
Beautiful. What about you, Jim? Do you have anything to add to that?
We basically live a very conservative lifestyle. And I think I believe in conservatism. I don't think, you know, we're happy with what we do, but we don't flaunt it, you know. But at the same time, we probably, that's what we teach our kids, you know, to be conservative. Don't go over your head, for sure, on debt or anything else. So, that's about it.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Biggest thing I want to talk about is y'all's children.
Okay.
Obviously, it's a big deal to have children, and it's what grows your family. So let's talk about them a little bit.
Well, that, of course, is the most important part of my life, is my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. We were married about 6 years before we had our first baby. And I was very anxious about it because I just thought, we'd talked about what are we going to do if we don't have children. I mean, that was important to us. I thought everybody got married and they were married about a year and then they started having a family. And that didn't work that way for us. But eventually we did. The first child we had was Tony, and Tony Alleen.
It was in 1966.
64, I'm sorry.
64, I'm sorry. Yeah.
1964.
Jamie, 66.
And unfortunately, she was very premature. She weighed 3 pounds and 6 ounces when she was born. And so we had to leave her at the hospital for a month. And I cried. I remember crying all the way home from the hospital because I didn't get to bring a baby home. And we would go up every evening after work, after Jim's work, because I wasn't working then, and go to the little preemie ward and see our baby. And we did get to take her home, and she grew up to be a wonderful person. And really, it was just, God knew exactly what she was going to do. You know, as we all know, he knows what we're going to do, and he has his own timeline and his guidelines and that sort of thing. And she was always a caring person, and I knew that she'd probably be a nurse or be something in the healthcare or a caring word, a social worker, whatever. But I always had that feeling, and that's exactly what she did. She's a nurse. She's a registered nurse, and we're very proud of her and her family.
You had to stay in bed while you were pregnant with Tony
Well, I really
for
did.
about 5 months, 4 months, 5 months.
4 or 5 months, I was
Yeah.
on bed rest because of complications, and that's the reason she was premature. Kind of the same thing happened 21 months later
Yeah.
when Jamie was
Same
born.
thing.
And Jamie was more premature than Tony. She weighed 2 pounds and 2 ounces. And it was both times it was very scary, And like I said before, I all but got on my knees and I certainly prayed to God that He would let us keep these babies, and He would have His own plan, for them, and He did.
She lost down to a pound and 8 ounces or something like that.
Jamie, before she started gaining,
It's just
lost
so
down
tiny.
to 1 pound and 1 pound and 11 ounces, something like
Yeah,
that.
something like
And that
that.
was before they had the pediatric, newborn special place for tiny babies, and we had very caring nurses and a good hospital and a good doctor, and that made all the difference. But anyway, Jamie,
How long did we have to wait before we brought Tony home? A month?
a month,
And
we waited 2 months for Jamie to come home.
they said, well, she was only 4 pounds. We took her home.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, well, we knew how to take care of her preemie, so here
So
you
we
are.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did. But, and if I didn't mention this, Jamie's a teacher, and that's exactly what God wanted her to do. She teaches special education, and
Which is very special.
yes, it's special to her and to us too, and we're very proud of her. She has about 2 or 3 more years before she can retire, and she's had a real interesting life in her career as well.
Okay.
And she'll be, she moved from Amarillo to Weatherford, Texas, and she'll be there with Everett.
Moving forward, can you kind of talk about your children's legacies and what they have provided to the world?
Well, like I said before, Tony, I think her legacy, of course, was to be a mother. I think she's been an excellent mother and grandmother, and so thankful I've gotten to share that time with her when she has done that. Tony and her first husband had 2 children, and the oldest one was Kimberly, Michelle, and she was our first granddaughter. And we loved her very much. Kimberly went off to school to Cornell, which was a long ways from home, and met her husband. And Paul is from Germany, so that was a big thing for our family to get to meet his family and add him to our family. Well,
And Tony and Jamie both have gone over there to be with his family.
right, they've traveled. They've traveled to Germany
there.
before, so that's been a big thing
He met him in Paris.
to get to be with
Wow.
his family. Kimberly, unfortunately, passed away when she was 32. An accident, and that's probably
That'd be a hit and run.
that was the saddest time in my life. It still is. But we know where she is. And we know, we certainly know we'll be with her. And certainly sad for my Tony and my Jamie and all the rest of the family, but we enjoyed so many wonderful years with her. And I'm so thankful for that. And then she had, of course, during that time, she had Kimberly, she had Mason. And Mason's a joy. What can I tell you?
Our interviewer knows Mason.
Yes, the person interviewing us knows Mason. Mason's a joy. That's a word. He lives life happy. He never fails to stop by to see us, to see how we're doing. And when he was growing up, It was so much fun to watch him. Mason is self-employed. He's in the carpet and upholstery cleaning business. And, you know, I never pictured Mason, I never pictured any of my grandsons really being in an office behind a desk or being someplace that they couldn't be outside part of the time. I think Luke probably is the closest to that, but yet he has the freedom to go and do. But Mason, I thought whatever Mason does, he'll be in and out, and he's so social that I knew he would be in an occupation that he would make an impression on people and be able to work well with people, and he's doing exactly what he wants to do. Mason was a lot of fun, and it still is. And Mason has a wonderful family. He's married to Kelsey, and they have 2 beautiful children, and Ellie and Ranger. And just a few days ago at Thanksgiving, we got to watch them, and they're just a joy. Ellie is just full of life. She reminds me of Mason so much. Ranger is just getting used to everybody, and he's walking everywhere, and we just love to look at him. He's just so darn cute, and we're so happy. It just makes us so happy. Tony is married to Wendell Stoner, and Wendell's an engineer, and it's a second marriage for both of them, and they delight in at the age they are in getting to travel. They travel a lot. They delight in their grandchildren. It's just fun to watch them. It's just fun to watch people at that stage in their life, that they got the freedom they have, and get to do what they want to do, and to watch them hold those babies, and that's a big joy. That's a big joy. Jamie lost her first husband, and when he was in his early 30s. He died it happened real fast. Jim and I were out of town, and he had some type of pneumonia that they never did decide exactly what it was, but we got a call to come home, and he died a few hours after we got home. When Tyler was 6, Luke was 4, and Katie was 2. So they were raised without a dad, and that makes a lot of difference in their life, and in their grandparents' lives too, because there was more for us and more for the Austins, Jamie's in-laws, in helping raise them and helping Jamie at different times. So we were so thankful that we could do that, but of course we miss Wes, and
He was a nice guy.
he was a wonderful dad. He really was. He was a wonderful dad, and later on in their lives, they've been very responsible to help Jamie, because they knew that she was the one that was taking care of them. Tyler was our first grandson, and that was exciting because we didn't have boys in the family. And he was kind of a quiet little guy. He would just sit and study one little thing for a long time, and he was very responsible from the time he was born, as far as being where he was supposed to be at that time and that sort of thing. He wasn't real rambunctious or anything like that. He really didn't do a lot of the sports and things like that.
Well, he had a medical problem.
I'm sorry.
With a hip. It's the reason he
yeah,
did.
I'm sorry, he did. About the time he was in elementary school, he had to wear a brace for his hip. And that was a challenge for him. And I think it he went through that real well, and it also made him kind of realize how many people cared about him, and he had lots of friends, and he did real well in school. Tyler was just a all around great kid, you know. He made us all happy at all times. Tyler, even in the family now, we always ask him if he'd like to say the prayer, because he always had a good way of saying the prayer before meals and at different times. He felt very, very good about that. Jamie's second child was Luke, and Luke was entirely different than Tyler, of course. All of them are, thank heavens. And Luke liked to go. If anybody was going any place, Luke wanted to go with them. He loved to go, and he loved to go with Granddad to do things. He liked to fish. He liked to. We lived out at Lake Tanglewood at the time when all the grandkids were growing up, and Luke loved to come out and spend the night and go fishing or go in the boat or fish off the boat dock. He liked outdoors things.
All of the boys took turns mowing our grass out there.
That's right.
At different times.
We hired all of them at different times to mow the grass, you know, and that's how they made extra money in the summer. But Luke was a joy too. The boys were just so much fun to have.
And
Luke's family. Luke married Lauren, and they have a little girl named Livy, and she's a joy. I keep saying joy, but it's a broad word, but that's what I can think of the most, because they're just so much fun. And she is. I think when she was born, she was grown up. You know, she likes to go and do grown up things if she can, and she's a lot of fun. And what I really love is watching Livy and Ellie together. They're not together as much as they'd like to be because of where they live. They live in different towns and they go to different schools, but they seem to just kind of get together when they're together. And they're very quiet little girls. They just sit and visit with each other and play babies. That's their thing right now. Katie, when she was born, we were all surprised, you know, because Jamie just figured, you know, she'd have another little boy, and here comes Katie. And Katie was just bright and shiny from the very beginning and loved life and still does, and kind of spoiled in a way. And Katie is right now she works in a child development school, and Katie has a little girl named Barry, and she
lives in Chandler, Texas.
She lives in Chandler, Texas, which is a long ways from us, so we don't get to see them very often, but it's fun when we do. And Barry is just the cutest little girl. She falls right into the other girls. She just, you know, and when she's here, she's not very old. Is she 2 yet?
About that.
She's around 2. And, but she's learning to adjust and be a part of the family. And we just love them both and are thankful that anytime that they're here, you know, she's a cutie. And so and Katie's Katie loves what she's doing. She's always been connected with childcare in some way. Even in when she was growing up, she worked at Paramount Terrace Christian Church.
Mm-hmm.
She worked in the nursery a lot. So she's always been in that type of work with childcare, and she loves that and does a wonderful job with that.
So let's talk a little bit about your fur babies.
Our first pet was a Siamese cat that eventually weighed 20 pounds. It was big.
Caesar.
And her name's Caesar, and he ruled the roost around the house. We let him out, and he would carouse a little bit, and we eventually lost him. Then we got another little cat named Prince,
Mm-hmm.
and Princey ended up attacking us, so we had to let him go to the pound or the welfare place, whatever it was,
A new home.
new home anyway. And so then we started into dogs, and we had our first dog was named Gidget, and she was just the cutest little thing you ever saw. And I think she was probably 14 years old when she passed. And then did we have another dog when we started doing it? We got Tasha.
No, we adopted Natasha because
Tony
and Kim had moved
Kim,
to
yeah,
the
they
farm.
had moved to Shamrock.
Well, I think they were at, well, could be Shamrock. They, I think they had moved to an area that we were worried about their dog, had put a little black schnauzer named Natasha. And we were worried about coyotes and it being out and that sort of thing. So we kind of adopted her and ended up with her. And she passed away when she was about 12 or 13
Yeah.
years old, I guess. And then we,
What was the next one?
Rosie.
Scooter. That was Jamie's dog.
Yeah, Scooter was Jamie's dog. We have grand dogs as well as dogs. But
As well as dogs.
as our dogs, we have grand dogs. And it seems like they're all schnauzers, doesn't it, Jim?
It
They're all
does.
little schnauzers.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were given Rosie, and Rosie was kind of a mixed breed, and she was the light of our life for a long time. She was about 15 when she died.
Yes.
And
well, just 16. But
anyway,
we got her from Robbie's daughter, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
And that was her, Lily Rose was her name.
Mm-hmm.
So we named her Rosie.
Yeah.
So then when we get Lily, we named her after the mother too. Which she didn't have anything to do with it.
But then we, of course, after we lost Rosie, we thought, well, at our age, we probably don't need another dog, But
Yeah.
as
Miss
it works,
Lily, how old is Miss
As it
Lily?
works out.
Lily came along.
Yeah. And how old is she?
Lily is now, how old?
She'll be 8 in July.
8 in July. She was born on July the 4th.
She's got lots of years still left with you guys.
She's got lots of years left. And we've enjoyed Lily. She's fun and she's easy to take care of.
So now we're going to kind of talk about our major challenges and some of the resilience that you all had.
Okay.
So the question is, did your family or you face any major challenges or hardships, and how did you guys overcome them?
Okay. Well, I think for right now, I'm going to go with the present first. Right now, there's challenges of aging, health and aging, losing friends at this stage in our life, which is normal, but it's hard for us. We've both
still
lost
hard.
really good friends in the last few years. I think if you say major challenges, just the normal challenge of working and raising children and gathering family and being together, and it's not a bad challenge. But sometimes it's a challenge for us to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing at this stage in our life. It was a major loss to lose Kimberly. It's exciting when we have grandchildren and great-grandchildren and going to weddings and going to find out that we're going to have a new little baby in the family. That's a joy. So it all works out together, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Jim?
One of our major problems was lost Pam, my middle sister, 2 years now,
Mm-hmm.
close to 2 years ago. That was a hardship there. Other than that, I don't know of too many things that have happened. I've developed a macular degeneration, and my eyes put up with this one for about 2 years, and then all of a sudden my left one got wet, and so I can barely see the TV and make out letters and people or anything like that. So consequently, gave up my driver's license, and so Virginia's been chauffeuring me around, going with me at all my doctor appointments, and we go together to get our hair cut, and we go get a pedicure together. So it's worked out fine though. But
So, will you guys kind of talk about y'all's marriage and maybe some of the exciting things that y'all faced, as well as maybe some challenges, some really good advice that you can give to future generations?
Well, I think if I'm, Jim can correct me, but I believe that this June 15th we'll be married. Is it 68 years, Jim?
68 years.
68 years. Great times and hard times. You know, I don't guess I know anybody that hasn't faced both challenges one way or the other, but I can say that we've had more happy times than we had unhappy times. So that's good. The years go by fast. We've had lots of different interests at times. We've gotten to travel. We've gotten to enjoy new friends and old friends, and moved to different houses and enjoyed new neighbors. And I guess, did I answer that question?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think the biggest thing that we want to know is any advice that you would like to give anybody for being married that long.
Well, I think patience. I think to feel what would I say, responsible for each other. We've been fortunate that we've not had to be away from each other a whole lot. We've been together most of that time, and we've had generally good health. I think just
I think they have to listen to each other too.
right, being interested in what the other person's doing, being in touch, being forgiving, which is hard to do sometimes. Getting excited about different things, sharing, lots of things, and it all sounds like I've done all that, but I haven't. There's been times when I have to stop and think that I'm not doing my share, or not being responsible enough, or whatever. But I think just the joy of raising a family together, I can't imagine not doing that. And just enjoying each other, having goals.
Mm-hmm. Is there something, now that you have the chance, is there anything that you could say to your husband of the long life that you guys live together? Is there any kind of, sentences or, thoughts or anything else, living that long together that you would like to share with him, and then as you for her as well?
Well, of course, Jim knows that how much I love him, and how neat it's been to share our life together. I promise you that after listening to other people, I won the lottery. I will tell you, he mentioned earlier about the responsibilities of learning to pick up after yourself and that sort of thing. Jim Pittman, you never have to do anything for him unless you want to do it. And he's very giving and very unforgiving. And
you're belittling yourself.
Oh, no, I'm not. I've just been thankful to God
that you have him
for the years we've had.
And then, Jim, is there anything that you would like to share, that you would like to say?
Well, people don't really understand, but we've probably spent at least 25 years fishing together. And She's a good fishing partner.
That's sweet.
You can. She does a good job handling the net. And I've never seen a better person at backing up a boat on a boat ramp.
Which is pretty important.
It's
If
important.
anyone knows Jim
Very
Pittman,
important.
it's very important.
When you
Jim
spend
Pittman.
off the time at the lake, it's extremely important, really. And we were lake people there for a long time, and really it was a neat deal for us to get to move to Lake Tanglewood. It was not the best house in the world, but it was good enough for us, and we updated it as we went along, and we loved it out there. All the kids loved it, the grandkids loved it. Everybody got to come out. We all played golf, all except Katie. Jamie, she didn't play much, but everybody enjoyed it out there. You know, the Buck Dock was something special. You know, we could get out there and feed the geese and catch fish right off the dock, and it was fun, you know. So we were very glad to be able to do that for the family, because everybody enjoyed it so much. So.
Well, moving forward, since you guys are talking about boat traveling a little bit, can you guys come talk about some of the favorite memories of some of your favorite travels that y'all did?
Oh gosh. Well, we went to Vegas a lot.
So were y'all gamblers, or what did you do in Vegas?
Do what?
Gambling.
Did you gamble? Or
Oh,
what
well,
did you do?
yeah.
we had a,
Watch shows.
we were kind of gamblers, I guess you'd say. We'd have a set amount that was our enjoyment money, and after that, but we enjoyed just going and going to the shows and that sort of thing. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jim, if you've
No,
got
it's all,
more.
no, that's all right.
I think we started out traveling with our families, you know, and
Especially to Norfolk.
to Norfolk Lake in Arkansas. We went there many years and boated and had fun. And then some of our friends went with us, and we water skied and enjoyed all that and raised kids together. We had a group of friends that we all kind of stuck together raising kids.
I
and
wondered
we're
how we
still
were going to
friends.
answer that. And I wondered
Yeah,
if we were going to get to
and we're still
insert
friends.
that.
We've lost some of them, and but some of them are right here close to us, and their children. We still enjoy their grandchildren. So that's an important part when you get back to a marriage and that sort of thing, is to have friends that you can share.
We still play bridge twice a month. So, you know, we've
Yeah.
got good friends there.
As far as travels, I think probably just regular summer vacations. We did go take a
did.
long trip to Washington, D.C. and New York City one time
that was fun.
a road trip that we really enjoyed. But other than that, it was just little
We
short.
went to a
jaunts.
Broadway show. How many people get to do that?
Not many.
Not many. No.
Can you guys kind of talk about what your favorite holiday is and why?
Oh gosh, that would be Christmas, because everybody can get together and, you know, have good food, and we laugh, cut up, play games, you know, cards and whatever. So I think that's probably the most fun, isn't it?
I think so. That'd probably be the top on everybody's list is Christmas.
Probably.
Thanksgiving. We have had a lot of fun July the 4th, especially like we said at the lake. We had a
gosh,
big
yeah,
parade
forgot
and the
about
kids
that.
decorated the golf cart and everything. So any holiday was a good excuse to see everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So
Good. Question is, what would you like future generations to know about the history of y'all's family? So
Well, I
talking
don't-
like to Ellie, to future great grandchildren, future future family members about anything on the history that you guys want them to know about, maybe the origin or anything like that.
my family came from Texas. they moved from Alabama to Texas. My great grandmother did, and so primarily most of my family was raised in Texas or probably Oklahoma for a few of them. Um, as far as I didn't get to meet my grandparents, or I got to meet a great grandmother one time, so I really didn't have close grandparents. Uh, I enjoy being a grandmother and a great grandmother because of that. That's part of it. But we were raised by mothers, Jim and I both, that was important. Mothers and fathers, that was important. Family. So did I answer that question?
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Jim?
Other than my family, it's mother and dad grew up very poor.
Yeah.
Of course, mom got to live with her aunt for a while, and that aunt was fairly well off for the days, and but dad didn't have anything. So what he accomplished and passed to me was, you know, it was a big step to move up in the echelon of earning money, making money, investing. I had to talk Dad into investing some money, and he never had done that. So I hadn't done it, but I knew that I had to do it in order to have something to live on later. And so that was interesting to me.
Now let's talk about y'all's faith and beliefs. How has your faith or spiritual belief influenced your life decisions, and how did it shape who you are?
Gosh.
Well, it's
Where would we
it's
be
our
without
it's
it?
our life. I think I can speak for Jim's family as well, but we were both raised knowing that about Jesus. I remember that no matter where we lived, we went to a church close to us, and I remember going to Sunday school. Jim and I, as adults, went to an adult Sunday school for many years. We don't now, but we did at the time. And some of our close friends now are friends from Sunday school. And believing in Christ is the most important thing in my life. It has been, of course, God has been the person that I've reached out to often and will continue to. I'm thankful that my children feel the same way, and it makes you a close family to know that if somebody needs to pray for somebody, that we do, and the same way with friends. Very seldom does a week go by that someone doesn't call and say, would you pray for my son or grandson or granddaughter or somebody that's going through a challenge. So that's a very important part of my life.
Yeah, people know that we take it very serious. And really we raised our kids to believe in the Trinity.
Well,
did,
everybody. I think everybody has
so-
found their
But I
their
think we're the
different
only
churches.
real steady churchgoers, and we don't go now, but we go watch it on TV every Sunday morning. So we still think it's an important part of our life.
What role did religion or spirituality play in your family while growing up? Especially with Tony and Jamie.
I think it played a very important part in our life because as Jim said before, we knew that God was an important part of our lives in giving us the two children that we had, and we were fortunate enough that we connected with a church at St. Stephen United Methodist Church, and we went to that church for over 30 years, and the girls were raised at that church. And I think that it was important for us to be a part of their life during that time, and
It was important for us to raise them in the church.
right, that was an important part.
Yes.
How do you see your faith impacting future generations?
Well,
Do what?
how do you see in impacting future generations? I don't, I don't know that we have that much impact other than just being together.
Maybe voicing.
Teach them what we know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in
That's about
teaching,
it.
and they know, they all of our family is we just feel connected. You know, I know that there's some people that don't feel connected to different parts of family and that sort of thing, but I feel like we're really connected. I feel good about that. Some of the really fun things was when they were all young and they would come out to the lake and spend the night with us, and they usually made pallets in the living room and slept together, and wouldn't go to sleep all night, and about the third time I'd get up to go calm them down, I'd threaten to call their mothers to come get them, and Tyler stood up one time and said, "Can we all pray together?" And he always had a way of calming us down, and making things come to real life, like what difference does this make? And just, funny things, you forget about a lot of them, but there was a lot of them.
Luke was a funny kid too, because he liked to take things apart and put them back together. So I found an old telephone up in my attic, and I brought it down, and that was his toy. He'd take that thing all to pieces, and then he'd put it back together. Tony was, we gave him
Gave Tony and Kim.
Tony and Kim a tree they planted out by their patio. And one day Tony went out there and there was a snake coiled up underneath the tree, so she went in and got her shotgun and kaboom. Not only got the snake, but she got most of the tree. But it still survived. It was a terrible looking, but it survived. And she also, while they lived in Shamrock, the turkey passed by, so she got on her four-wheeler and drove around till she found that turkey. She shot it with a big high-powered gun and blew it all to pieces. So wasn't much left of the turkey. Jamie, funny thing about her was that she was going to college on WT, and she got out one day to come home, and she had a flat tire. And she called me at work and said, "Daddy, I've got a flat tire." And I said, "So?" And she said, "Well, come do it, come fix it." Now, I can't leave work. I'm busy doing this and that, and I can't leave. And she said, "Well, what am I going to do?" And I said, "Well, look around, see if you can find a service station. Go down there, tell them if they can come back up and fix that tire for you." And so she did. And that made her a pretty independent little girl. She figured out that she could do anything she wanted to do. She wasn't up and without a paddle anymore. We bought some jet skis one year, and there was some stories down at the lake. We lived in a no wake zone, and so the boys kind of got out of hand with it, and some people called the local sheriff there. They called us and said, "I think your grandsons are driving too fast on the lake." And okay. I came back, I said, "You boys, you're grounded now. You can't ride the jet ski anymore." Oh man, like tore them up.
It was always, a curfew doesn't mean a whole lot to especially boys that age, you know, they certainly don't have a watch on and they don't know, but they learn, you know.
Those jet skis were troublesome.
Yeah, that
They
was
ended up
something that we.
They cost us a lot of money to repair.
And it's something that you have to be very careful. You know, we want to know where they are at all times. So, but anyway.
We took them to Arkansas one time.
Mm-hmm.
Got home, we sold them.
Yeah.
They said, "Oh no, don't sell the jet skis."
All right. Well, we appreciate everything, and we're excited to be able to share this with future generations about y'all's legacy. It's been a privilege to be able to interview both of you.
Thank you, Kelsey.
We enjoyed it. We bring back memories.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it'll be good, and it'll be able to tell future generations as well as your grandchildren now will love to hear these stories.
Yeah.
So